So in this video I'm going to talk about why I bought the RED Komodo-X, what makes it so special, and what you really need to know before you buy a RED Komodo-X. The reasons why I bought the RED Komodo-X instead of a Canon camera, a Sony camera or a Blackmagic camera is because I wanted the best image quality out of this camera. Although every camera can produce a great looking image, I know that the RED can produce an even better image. So I wanted the best image quality. So maybe now you think, why didn't he choose ARRI Alexa? Well, because the ARRI Alexa is way more expensive and I don't know if it's that suitable for a single operator if I wanted to. So I can build this up to a full production kit, and I can also run it like this, more a run and gun rig. I think it's a compactor and it produces amazing images. This is also a true cinema camera. It was used in Matrix, Mad Max and the Extraction, I think. So what makes this camera so special? First of all, it's of course RED RAW. The RED codec is incredibly useful. You can record in ELQ, LQ, MQ and HQ mode. All of these codecs have different compression ratios. ELQ is your lightest codec, but it also produces amazing images. Most of the time I use ELQ for my YouTube videos and also some commercial stuff. Sometimes LQ. I almost never use MQ or HQ, which produces way bigger files, and for that reason I stick to ELQ, which stands for extra low quality, and LQ, which stands for low quality, but they are by no means low quality or extra low quality. You can grade them really well, and ELQ is also very usable for interviews because the file size is so much smaller than like an MQ or HQ, which produces way bigger files. So for that reason it's a very suitable camera, because you can choose what kind of image quality do you need out of the camera. Do you need the highest possible image quality? Then you can do it. You can choose HQ and you record the most amount of data. And then if you need lighter file sizes because you want to record longer takes, for example, you can use the ELQ codec, which is very compressed, but it produces an amazing image. You can check out some tests on YouTube. You will find some HQ to ELQ tests and you can see for yourself what the differences are. HQ I would only use if the production uses visual effects or a green screen, blue screen, something like this. There I would maybe use HQ, but otherwise I would stick to ELQ, LQ or MQ for higher productions. Another benefit of the RED Komodo-X is it uses global shutter, which is very usable for action scenes or fast movements or fast panning of the camera. So dynamic range is also really good. RED says it has 16 plus stops of dynamic range, which is amazing. The color science is awesome, and just in general how the image looks and feels. It looks and feels really cinematic. It's hard to describe. So another really cool feature of the RED Komodo-X is you can use the RED Control app, which is amazing. I can set my aperture here. I can see my histogram, my ISO, my Kelvin temperature, my R3D quality, and simply everything. I can double tap on the screen right here, and I can also use it as a full screen monitor, as you can see right now. Here I also can change my ISO. I can use peaking right here and false color. So if I activate false color, right now you can see everything is fine. Another nice feature of this camera is the slow motion capability of this camera. It can record 80 frames per second in 6K, 120 frames per second in 4K, and 240 frames per second in 2K, which is amazing. So another benefit of the RED Komodo-X is it uses CF Express Type B cards, which are very fast and which also save you some time if you're offloading footage to your computer or a hard drive on set, for example. So another great addition for this camera is the audio input. So you can use two XLR ports with an adapter. I have the mid-49 adapter on this camera right now. So I have two XLR inputs. One is connected to my Rode microphone and the other one I usually connect to my Rode Wireless Pro with my lavalier microphones, which is also very useful. The preamps are also really good in this camera. Another great thing is you have a locking RF mount, which means you can use heavier lenses on this setup. So what you really need to know before you buy the RED Komodo-X. The first thing is it records RAW, which means there is no noise reduction applied in camera. Normal cameras apply noise reduction in camera. So a Canon, Sony camera, they all apply a basic noise reduction in camera. The RED RAW codec does not do that. So if you are in post-production, you need to apply some noise reduction if you want a perfectly clean image. But I want to also tell you that the RED noise is very nice. It's not that magenta magenta green noise. Most of the time it's just like a grain on film. So it's very, very nice. And if you don't mind, you don't have to apply noise reduction with the RED Komodo-X. But if you want a perfectly clean image, you need to apply some noise reduction. I simply use the noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve for that, and I throw it on every clip and I'm totally fine with it. So another thing you need to know is there's no IR cut filter in the camera. You can see it right now, it reflects. This one is an IR cut filter on the camera, which you will need if you want to film outside. Because if you don't use something like this, there is invisible light to our eyes, but cameras can see infrared light. So if you have a black shirt or something like this in the sun, it will occur a little bit washed out and brownish, and you don't want that. So you use an IR cut filter for that. Most cameras nowadays have it built in right in front of the sensor, but the RED Komodo-X doesn't have that. So you have to use an additional IR cut filter on top of the lens. You have to do that, and you really should know it, because otherwise you're in post-production and you think, why the hell does my image look so crappy? It's possibly because of the IR cut filter. They are also not that cheap. So I bought this IR cut filter with a dimension of 82 millimeters for 135 euros. You also have to take this into consideration if you buy this camera. So another thing is the slow motion capabilities of the camera are great, but you need to know if you want to use the 240 frames per second in 2K, for example, it will only use a tiny portion of the sensor. So it will crop in very, very tightly to use that. And also in 4K 120 frames per second, the crop is not that heavy, but it will also crop in. Only in 80 frames per second, you can use the entire 6K sensor. But for me, it's not a problem. I almost every time use 80 frames per second with the full sensor, and I'm totally fine with that. So another thing you need to know is you need V-mount batteries. And if you already have V-mount batteries for this camera, you need to have D-tap on top or on the left side. Because if you have it on the right side, you can see right here, there is the Wi-Fi antenna, and you cannot connect anything which is here. So you really have to check if your V-mount battery has it on the top or on the left side of the battery. If you have it on the right side, you can use the battery on the RED Komodo-X, but you can't connect any accessories. And I use my V-mount battery also for my Portkeys monitor to power it, so I needed the batteries to have it on top. I use the FX Nano 2, which are very, very nice. It also tells me the battery runtime on the back, and they can charge two different things with the D-tap on top. So I have two D-taps on top, and on the side I have USB-C and USB-A, and yeah, you can charge it via USB-C, which is also very nice. So I highly recommend the FX Lion Nano 2 batteries. One of the most important things you have to know before you buy a RED Komodo-X is that they're using SDI cables. So this is an 12G SDI cable, and you have to follow the SDI protocol to not damage this port, because you can damage this port and then you can't use any external monitors. So the SDI protocol, which you have to follow, is basically, it's called LIFO, which means last in, first out, which means you have to power on everything. You power on your camera, your monitor, and you have to check that everything has power and is turned on. After that, you connect your first SDI to your accessory, in this case to the monitor. But if you have wireless transmission, for example, you also connect the wireless transmission first. The last thing you connect is the SDI cable to your camera. This prevents that you fry the SDI port and you can't use it anymore. So, and after shooting, or if you want to change the battery, for example, you have to first out. So you have to detach the cable from the camera and then from the accessory. Then you can change the battery. Then you do the protocol again. So you will power on every accessory. You will connect it first to the accessory, and then the last thing is you connect the SDI cable to the camera. So always first to the accessory, then to the camera. So it's LIFO. You have to remember that. Last in, first out. So it's the last thing you put in the camera, and it's the first thing you put out of the camera. Otherwise, you can damage the port. So basically, they can run power from here, from the D-tap to the monitor, and fry the port right here. So you also don't want to lose power because you can damage this port. You always have to check that everything has power and this is connected. And before you power down anything on the camera, you disconnect the SDI cable first from the camera, then from the accessory, and then you're good to go. And then you can power down everything. If you're on a shoot, you power on everything first, then you connect first to the accessory if it's powered on, and then to the camera as last step. You have to follow this protocol and you have to know what you're doing, otherwise you can damage this port and this will probably ruin your entire day or week. Probably week, yeah. So what's my conclusion of the RED Komodo-X? I think it's an amazing camera. I love to use it. I love the images it can produce, and yeah, I can really recommend it. But what do you think of the RED Komodo-X? Would you buy it? What would you buy instead? Let me know in the comments down below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.